Hello everybody and welcome to How to Play, where today we are going to be looking at Love Letter, a competitive card game which is really simple, and yeah, we'll just burn right through it here. So right off the bat, I gave everybody a list of cards. This shows you however many cards are inside the deck, and inside the middle here are the tokens of affection. Inside a 3-player game, which is what we're going to be looking at now, the first player to 5 tokens of affection wins. So, first of all, everybody gets one card. I'm going to be player 1, player 2, and player 3 is going to be over here. On your turn, what you do is you draw a card and you choose one of them to discard and play. You play it in front of you because that is one of the ways you can win based on a tie, but we'll get to that later. So, let's go over what each of the cards do. First card is the Princess. You lose if you have to discard it, or you discard it yourself on your turn. The Countess. You discard if you have both it and the King or Prince in your hand. The King. You can trade hands with somebody. The Prince. One player discards his or her hand. It could be yourself, it could be somebody else. It's your choice. Handmaid. Protects you from other players' effects until your next turn. Next one is the Baron. You compare hands with another player, and the player with the lowest number in the top left, also represented on the left side of the list of cards here, loses and is out of the round. Second last one is the Priest. You simply say, I'm going to play the Priest, and look at somebody's hand. And number 1, the Guard. There's 5 of them inside the deck, and what you do is you guess what is inside the player's hand that is not a guard. So, to read the text of the guard exactly, it says, name a non-guard card and choose another player. If that player has that card, he or she is out of the round. So, now that I went over all the cards, I will also explain that the number of cards here is shown beside each name. So, the highest value over here is the Princess. There's only one of her. There's the same of one Countess and one King. For Prince, Handmaid, Baron, and Priest, there are 2 of them, and for the guards, there are 5 of them. So, now that I've explained the cards, let's just go over a few things, and we'll play a little sample game. Okay, so I picked up the guard. I had the Priest in my hand, and I picked up the guard. I'm going to say, okay, player 2, I think that you have the Baron. Player 2 has the Princess, so he would say, no, I don't have the Baron, and my turn would be over. Player 2 would pick up a card, and he has a Baron. He also has the highest value card. So he could say, I'm going to play the Baron on player 3. The 2 would look at each other's cards. Whoever has the lowest numbered card is out. So they would discard that, and play would continue. So right now it's just me, player 1, against player 2. I would draw another card, and there's the Priest. I get to look at another player's hand because I have to play one of my cards. I see that it's the Princess. Next player's turn. This keeps going on and on until either everybody except for one player is eliminated, or all the cards inside the deck have been played. So if anybody needs to draw a card from the empty deck, that is when the game immediately ends. So let's say that happens, and both me and player 2 here are left with a guard in our hand. At this point, we would compare who has the highest number, and that player wins. So ideally, you want to keep the higher number cards like the Princess or the Countess in your hand until the end of the game. This way, if we run out of cards, you are much more likely to win, or guaranteed to win if you are the Princess, or have the Princess rather. If you have run out of cards, and 2 people have the same value of cards, what you then do is count up each player's discard pile. So I, of course, didn't actually play all of these cards, but for sample's sake, let's say I did. I have way too many cards, so probably something like 30 or something like that, versus player 2 has 11. Since I have the higher value, I win. The player who wins, or the player who's left standing gets one of these tokens of affection. Then everything is shuffled together, one card is dealt out, the next player, so the player to the left, gets to start, and it all goes again. So, it goes like this. Player 2 would start, draw a card, play the guard. Player 3, you have the priest. No, he doesn't. So he would just need to say that. One thing about this game is that it is a game of honesty, which means that, if someone calls your card with the guard, you have to say the truth. You can't bluff and say, oh yeah, no, I don't actually have, the handmaid or something like that when the handmaid was called. Just play fair. The rules actually state that you shouldn't play with anybody who doesn't play fair. So keep that in mind. And yeah, that's the entire game of Love Letter in like 6 minutes. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please leave it in the comments below or send me a message. Anyway, thank you and have a good day.